In the previous lectures, we've had some parts in our code where we defined some variables, and then we mentioned that later we will get these values from a theme options page. So I think it's now time to do that, and we will do that using the customize API. So I'll put you a link to this guide here, but we will walk through most parts of it, so you can go through it after watching this section if you need to know more information. So let's open our website, and always make sure your mem server is open. I have mine opened here, and I'm going to change to my theme and run npm start. And let's open a new tab, the wp-admin. And let's go to appearance and customize. So if you're using the Gulp and browser sync that we set up, you'll get this blank page, and that's because WordPress is using an iframe to display the website here, and the iframe needs to load the localhost 888, which is the MEMP port, but we are using 300, and that violates the iframe security policy. So when you're using the customizer, make sure you use the 888 port, and it should load. So here is the customizer, and by default it has some default options that is included with the WordPress core. So you can change the site title, and as you can see, it will reload the whole iframe in order to reflect on your website. You can add a fav icon from here as well, and you can also edit the menus. So here we get a list of all menus, and we can create a new one, and here we get the menu locations that we defined in our theme in the last section. So we have the main menu, which is assigned to a menu called the main menu, and we can and we have the footer menu, but we haven't displayed it anywhere in the theme. So we can edit the main menu, and we can do that, and that will refresh the menu, as you can see. So that's pretty cool, right? So one quick notice here, remember when we were creating the JavaScript for the navigation in source navigation, and I told you that we have to use event delegation here, and we can't attach the event directly to the menu item has children. And the reason was, in the customizer, our JavaScript is now working and everything, and if you change something in the menu, the customizer will refresh this menu and add new DOM elements in the menu. So if we attach the event directly, let's try it out. Attach the event directly to the item, and refresh. And we can edit the menu directly from this button. So it's working now initially, but if we change something, it will refresh. And JavaScript won't work anymore because these are new DOM elements and they don't have the event attached to them. However, delegating the event to the C-navigation element, it will ensure that this event will always run because the C-navigation element is always there. It won't get replaced when the menu is replaced. So you can search for event delegation if you want to know more about this. But anyways, let's see some other features in the customizer. So we have the widgets, and we get all the sidebars that we registered in our theme, and then we click on one of them and we get the widgets in this sidebar. So let's try and edit this, add 7 posts, and this will refresh the whole iframe and it will reflect on the widget. And we can add another widget. And so on. We also have the homepage settings, and if you need to add additional CSS to your theme, so you can type here some CSS, and it will reflect on your theme directly without even refreshing the iframe. Let's take a look now at the structure of the customizer code-wise. So it's an object-oriented API, there are four main objects in the customizers: panels, sections, settings, and controls. So let's open this diagram here. So this is the customized control, and this is the iframe. So it's this and this. So the customized control contains panels and sections and controls. So the sections are these, which is site identity, menus, widgets, homepage settings, and so on. And the controls are these fields, and these controls are used to change settings. So we have settings and controls. The settings are values saved in the database, so you can use as options, and the controls are just the UI that you change these settings with. So you can have text fields and checkboxes and stuff like that, and these are controls that will change settings. So as you can see here, we have controls inside sections, and these controls will change settings, and when you change controls and settings, it will reflect on the iframe by either refreshing the whole iframe or to other things, selective refresh and post message, and we'll take a deeper look at these in later lectures. And we also have panels, and a panel can contain multiple sections. So we mentioned that we have sections, and each sections can have multiple controls. Panels are another object that can contain multiple sections. So here we have one panel that contain these sections, but this API is designed to have multiple panels, so we can have another panel with other sections. But this will be rarely used, and actually it's mentioned here in this guide that themes should not register their own panels in most cases. So we will ignore panels in this course, and you probably won't need to use it. So all of these things, panels, sections, controls, are PHP classes, and they are all managed by another PHP object, which is called the Customize Manager object. So how do we access this object? It's by using actions. So let's go to our code, and now let's create a new, let's close this one. Let's create a new file in the lib, and let's call it customize.php, and let's include it in functions.php. And inside customize, let's create a new function. Oh, sorry, let's open PHP tag first. And create a new function and prefixed. And let's call it customize register. And this action gets the customize manager object passed here. So let's call it wp customize. And then let's add our function to the action, and the action is called customize register, and let's give it the function. So inside this function we now can access the customize manager object, and we can use some methods inside this class, like add panel, get panel, remove panel, add section, and so on, in order to edit and add sections and fields and settings to the customizer. So let's add our first setting in the next lecture.